Negative emotions is one of my favorite topics.
Yeah.
I've been wanting to have this conversation for quite a while, so I'm excited about what you started with today. So, life experience is our best teacher, yes?
Words don't teach. Odd we offer so many, but if our words resonate with something you've lived, then it clicks for you.
Absolutely. So I've been working professionally for the last 6 years as a coach, as a breakthrough specialist, assisting people to find higher levels of alignment, to help them become vibrational matches to what they want. I've worked with people in over 25 countries. I've done seminars in Europe and Canada. I've personally manifested, a 7-figure amount of money, a dream relationship. I've had a lot of success and seen a lot of success in my clients. And I would say the key to the work that I do and my approach to all of this is to look at what somebody has present in their vibration, in their attraction point, that's preventing their cork from floating, because those are the things that are preventing those high and consistent levels of alignment.
So you're identifying the resistance through the evidence that is manifested.
Absolutely. That's exactly what I do.
And how are you able to highlight them without advancing them?
Well, physical reality doesn't lie. Physical reality is always showing us what we have going on.
Well, we agree with you. It's easy to find the culprit. What we're asking you is, how are you causing the culprit to fade into nothingness?
We look at the emotions that present themselves in those circumstances.
More discovery of the culprit.
Yeah, and then we shift the perspectives behind those emotions. So we identify the reason that people are holding on to these emotions and shifting them out of them. And in my experience, most people are carrying negative emotions that they don't realize that they're carrying. So
for sure. And so helping them understand that they are there really is the first step.
Absolutely.
But as a teacher talking to a teacher, and a vibrational expert talking to a vibrational expert, because you've been at this long enough that you've got this going on, what we want to flesh out together, because like you, we have found many processes that can temporarily, in moments of focus, soften the resistance. And we've noticed that the more often that resistance is softened, then the more of what is desired is allowed. But have you noticed this in your advanced classes on all of this? Have you noticed that as you help a friend or a student identify a pocket of resistance and you help them soothe it through the effective processes that you have found, we've done that too, that in freeing up their vibration, more that's in their vortex calls in a stronger way. So it calls in a stronger way, which means a whole other level of resistance comes to the forefront that the new desire is now challenging. Does that make sense to you? It's like this desire aggravates this resistance, which I soothe through these processes. And once that aggravation is stopped, then I'm free-flowing toward these desires, which are more, which aggravates a new set, which then I can apply processes to, which softens them, which causes more desires that I didn't even see coming, which aggravates a whole new set. So then life just becomes a constant putting out of brush fires, because there's a never-ending stream. Once I start fixing resistance, every level of resistance that I've ever lived will show itself to me to fix, because I'm getting way too excited about solving resistance. Now just stay with us just for a little bit, because we think this is good, and we think there are millions of people on this planet that benefit from that kind of understanding. But here, we're out here on the leading edge, where we're understanding the laws of the universe in a more powerful way. Would you agree to that? So what if there were a way to get out ahead? What if there were a way to just acknowledge where I stand right now and everything that's manifested and everything that is ever manifested, therefore every belief that I hold is not important to this equation if I can get out ahead of it, in the sense that I can connect with what's in my vortex. What if I could dream or daydream or visualize or dream at night? What if I could find somehow, some way, the vibrational frequency of who I really am now? What if I could just tune to that frequency? Because what you're talking about, and we know because it's been a part of our work too, there are a lot of people that's all they can hear, it's all they want to hear. But that would be like, going back to the radio station analogy, which is bulky, that there is this one station that is just awesome and tuned to everything that I am, that makes my heart sing. And instead of finding that frequency by tuning to it, I'm one station at a time getting them off the air. You off the air. You off the air. You were never good. Off the air. You came online when I was 14 years old. Off the air. You, my mother put you on. My mother is the reason that you're there. Off the air. So, oh, it is so time consuming to off the air, off the air, off the air, when really all you got to do is meditate a little, taste the sweet nectar of aligning to who you really are, and in so much less time you find the vibrational frequency of who you really are, and everything that you once thought was an issue that you needed to get rid of is transformed into a blessing that has put you where you are. Now, we know for sure you're doing some of that. We know for sure that that is some of the shifting that is taking place. But when you decide to make it your emphasis, because you can show people how to have better life experiences here and there and here and there and here and there, or you can show them how to be who they really are. It's nice to feel a little better. It's ever so much nicer to really know who you are. So we're talking about getting out ahead of it. That's going to be a theme of what we talk about maybe forevermore with our human dear hearts. Getting out ahead of it. And by that we mean getting out ahead of it where your vibrational reality is, getting out ahead of it where your inner being already is, getting out ahead of it in that next vehicle and that next vehicle and that next vehicle where the true thrills are. When you hit yourself over the head with a hammer for a while, it feels really good when you stop. And then you say, that was great success. What did you do? Well, I had this process, and they helped me to understand that that hammer hurts when I hit my head with it. And they showed me how big the hammer is. They showed me how long the hammer's been there. They even showed me the dents in my head that the hammer's been making. And then they tied my hands. They made me afraid of all hammers. They gave me hammer phobia. I swear to God, I'll never pick up another hammer as long as I live. And we say, there's a better way than trying to rid yourself of resistance, because, the art of allowing is the path of least resistance. And the path of least resistance, as you hear this is going to be so important. The path of least resistance is the path of most energy flowing. The path of least resistance is the path that your inner being has already flowed along and defined and holding wide open for you. The path of least resistance is the path that your inner being is calling you toward. The path of least resistance. The path of least resistance isn't saying the path of no resistance. It's not saying you got to get rid of all of that stuff, because every time you try to get rid of that stuff, it just squirts out in another way and another way and another way and another way. But the path of least resistance puts it in the true framework. The path of least resistance says to you, negative stuff is okay, it's good too. The path of least resistance says contrast matters to this creative environment in which we are all a part. The path of least resistance gives permission to the resistance to be part of the mix, you see, and gives you the clarity to navigate in the chaos that is possible into the clarity that is what you really own, who you really are. That's our favorite conversation ever.
Follow-up question. When you say you create your own reality, can you define you? Is it me? Is it Nick Bro? Is it my physical self? Or is it a mixture of me and my inner being, me and my
Of course it's you and your inner
non-physical?
being. We would never talk only to you. You are a scanty part of the whole.
So,
But the other part of you doesn't need our talking to. The other part of you's got that. So we are kind of talking to you about it because you're the bugaboo in the mix. So it seems like when we say you create your own reality, that what we're saying is you create your own reality. But what we really mean is you want to tune to the significance of who your inner being is, because together you have created your own reality. Your inner being stayed non-physically focused and stayed in an absence of resistance, and you came into the contrast and stirred it all up and asked for more, and your inner being saw what you asked for and rode those rockets and became it and held the vibrational frequency of it and reveled in everything you discovered and blessed every rotten thing that ever happened to you for the good that came out of it and the desire that was born within you, and holds that vibrational equivalency for you so that you can always find it if you look for it. And in the moment that you stop trying to get all the other radio stations off the air and you start reaching for that one, you'll find it, and you'll click in and you'll click in and you'll click in and you'll click in and you'll click in, and then that's who we're talking about, you two.
cool. So can our physical selves' desires ever contradict or oppose or have different directions than our inner being's desires?
Constantly. You do it all the time.
And does that get in our way?
Always, every time. For example, if you have a desire to be what you call a good person and you think you aren't, you're in the way. And you'd say, oh, but Abraham, no, I mean my desires. Do my desires ever conflict? Yeah, the desire to not be a bad person gets in the way of the energy that knows that you cannot be a bad person. Did you get that? Your source knows so unequivocally the goodness of you that every effort you make to get over being bad contradicts that. That's a contradiction of desire. It's an assumption. It's a flawed premise that you just can't get around. I'm bad and I'm going to get better. No, you're not. Because it's your opinion that's called you bad. And as long as your condemnation, pushing against, there is no law of pushing against. And yet humans seem to think there is. If I can push enough stuff I don't want away, then in its absence I will be left with good stuff. And we say it's attraction, 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 attraction. You've offered our favorite phrase, I create my own reality. I create my own reality. I, source energy, who is eternally focused, who has, specific to my attention right now, presented itself in physical form in the apparatus that is me, and focused me into a time and space with variety that inspires me and me. And the inspiration happens constantly, and my emotions show it to me. Thrills show me that my inner being is seeing it too. Strong pain shows me that my inner being is seeing it too. Thrills show me that my inner being is seeing it too, and I am seeing it too. Pain shows me that my inner being is seeing it, but that I'm looking in opposition to it.
Very good.
We think this is a really good time for a segment of refreshment.